Hello, everyone. It is a Thursday, if you can believe it. Welcome to another SDGC Live. It's a beautiful Thursday night. I'm here with Jeff and Justin, and eventually Britt. How's it going, fellas?
All right.
Yeah,
I can believe it's a Thursday because there was Nintendo news.
yeah, right. it's
Hey,
not a
Nintendo
Thursday
loves
if they're not
Thursdays.
dropping some shit on us. Yeah, so let's get the most obvious thing out of the way very quickly, which is that today the Nintendo Switch 2 was officially announced with a 2.5-minute teaser dropped on YouTube that showed a little bit of on-screen simulated footage of a new Mario Kart game. Very little in the way of detail beyond a bunch of the stuff that we have been hearing, talking about back and forth endlessly for months now, right? Magnetic Joy-Cons, a little bit bigger screen, backwards compatible. Beyond that, effectively no details. Potentially some mouse-like functionality, maybe, is what they were trying to show off at one point with the Joy-Cons, but very little to talk about because we just talked about this like 2 weeks ago when this stuff was getting like leaked all over the place. I do think the most interesting thing, the one thing that really was of note to me, is the actual big presentation is dated for April, was it April 2nd?
Yes.
Which a lot of people were swearing on a March release date, and we're not even going to see the thing again until April. So this is feeling like a summer or maybe even the holidays kind of thing. I guess we'll know more soon.
I don't like to brag, typically as a rule, and I usually don't have an opportunity to because I like to highlight that I'm almost always wrong about everything. But I have just been like, I not to say they couldn't do it, but like when people were talking about like a mid-January announced to like a March release, I'm like, I just don't think you can logistically release a console like from announced to release with all like the marketing and that. Like I know it's the Switch itself,
It's
but
tight.
like the Switch itself was 6 months, and that I think is probably the quickest. It's typically closer to a year for major console releases
this
between like the time they, yeah.
This teaser was more in line with that October Switch reveal than the January blowout.
Well, it worked for that, right? You had a hardware reveal teaser. A few months later, then you have like a real direct on it, and then a few months later you release it.
By this
Like-
same timeline, we are looking at like June. You know, if we talk the same as the original Switch. So,
I thought they would be going fall, like initially, just because like companies love fall, but also Nintendo does what Nintendo wants. I feel like May, like I know that's not, maybe end of May is more likely. I don't know if we're getting into like release date predictions. Just like
who knows?
July, for
Nobody
whatever
knows what
reason,
Nintendo's going to do.
No one wants to do anything in the summer. They've been getting a little bit better. Like we get some summer releases, but like, you know, August it's kind of like early fall now, but like July, it's like nobody wants to do anything in July, and June is just all the news bucket for like announcements and, you know, not E3 type stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah.
The only other real thing of note that I think is very funny is the episode where the Switch 2 finally gets announced would be the week that John can't be on the show.
It is perfect.
I think it is the funniest,
absolutely perfect,
funniest possible outcome. Many listeners have no idea how often, like the pre-show discussion for one of these shows is John chomping at the bit to talk about some Switch 2 leak or rumor, many of which in retrospect turned out to be complete bullshit. So I saved your life, John. And me specifically basically like threatening to hit him with a baseball bat. Like to shut
not
him
even
up.
like not even that, it just comes up like at every topic. Like we'll talk like PS5 Pro, like PSSR upscaling, like now what do you guys think the Switch 2 is gonna do?
Like, no. John is famously difficult to control, so so it's
we
just,
love him.
I know, I do. I love him dearly.
Yeah.
I wish he could be here, but it's also very funny that he couldn't be here for this one. So, like I said, don't want to spend a bunch of time on the Switch 2 because we've talked about this a couple of times in recent history. You know, we'll know more in April. I presume that's when we will next meaningfully talk about it. So with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about what we've been playing recently. Jeff, it's been a hot minute since you've been on. Why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
It's been a while. Man, what was I even playing the last time I was on? I don't remember. So
Flight Simulator.
yeah, I was playing some real games. I finished On Trail. Oh my God, fuck, I forgot. I mean, I'll just go through what I'm playing now.
Oh, Jeff, you've been missing my entire FF14 experience we've been chronicling on the show. Like,
You'll have to catch me up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, funny. It's just I hate that it's so on brand for this podcast. I've been playing nothing but Final Fantasy. So, as most people
reset
know,
the clock.
you know, uh, Final Fantasy 7 was like my top game, my favorite game ever for years until I played 14. And even then, like, they're neck and neck. So, Rebirth is like my dream game, right? And I held off on it with all my willpower, and I'm gonna sound like a snob. I don't care. Everyone knows I'm a bit of a snob. I did like the PS5 version was just very soft image quality wise. I was like, you know what? Like, I've been waiting forever, my whole life, for this game, for the remake of this game. Like, I can wait a little bit longer. Let's see how the PC version is. Let's see if there's a PS5 Pro version.
Hey, Brett.
So, hey, it paid off. I got a PS5 Pro update, and turns out it's one of the best updates for the PS5 Pro. But I didn't want to get into it right before I went on vacation in December. So, because like I hate if I take a big break for like a story-based game, it's really, really hard to get back into it, even something like this. So before Christmas, I replayed Crisis Core. So that's the second time I played it for the first time. Review copy that we got a couple years ago, and I absolutely loved it. Replayed Crisis Core, just mainlined through that on easy, like 6 hours flat. Fucking love that game. Still so good. And then I replayed Remake and blew through that one. Also on New Game Plus, easy. Love it. This is my jam. So I finally started Rebirth, and like, man, just I'm sure it's been talked to death. I've been completely blind on it. I didn't even know it was an open world game. I was saying in the Discord server, like, I just didn't think they could do that with like the scope and scale at which they're like making these. So I'm just blown away by like all the little details and stuff.
I'm excited to
I don't know
eventually
what to
play
say.
it because the PC version's coming real soon. So
So you're playing
I started Rebirth.
Rebirth?
Yeah.
Where you at?
I just got to Cosmo Canyon, so I'm on chapter 10.
Oh, okay. So
And-
is the allure starting to run off? Are you doing all the side quests? Or are you just doing
No. I mean, I had a rule going in because I
Good
heard it was like 100
choice.
hours.
good choice?
Like, I'm usually pretty good. Like, if I really love a game, I might go back and do some stuff. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna. There's been a couple that I wanted to do. Like Costa del Sol. Like, I loved the Costa del Sol like area. That the vibe of that. Like, it was super chill. Like,
God, the side
vacation.
quests.
Like, yeah. So I did the Johnny Clone side quest. So I was like, fuck. All right, whatever. This isn't the best, but I just liked hanging out in that area. And what else did I do? Oh, the Kiri, the Merc quests were fucking hilarious. So I did a couple
The
of those.
real question is do you love the card game in it? Queen's Blood.
Proud to announce I have stuck to my tradition in games of never fucking touching
Oh.
in a game.
No,
I
you had to. You had to on the fucking
Nope.
boat to Costa.
You can skip it. You can go right up to the counter and forfeit the
hate that.
entire tournament.
You do miss a really good cutscene.
Yeah,
though.
you do miss a really good cutscene.
Which one? 'Cause
I mean,
If it's the Red 13 one, you get it even though you forfeit the tournament.
that's
you do.
stupid. I hate that.
Mhm.
Damn it! I do not like Queen's Blood, and I spent hours on that section.
How do you not like Queen's Blood? It's so good. It's so good.
I honestly just couldn't wrap my head around how it worked. Like, it just didn't work with my brain.
It was the same. I did the tutorial because I thought I was gonna have to do the tournament. So I did the quick tutorial, and yeah, like and then I think in Costa del Sol,
You
there's,
checked
like, one
out.
of the
You didn't even give it a chance. You're just like, meh. You're like,
like my one, the game definitely has. I was very turned off early on. It has what I call sequelitis, which is like, this is a big reason I didn't enjoy Ragnarok. Like, I like my games kind of simple these days, and like when there's like skill trees and like there's a lot more management stuff in Rebirth than there is in Remake. Like, Remake is pretty straightforward, and then they add in like item transmute, which is like crafting, and then they basically bring back the sphere grid and stuff. But luckily, like, I found you can ignore most of it, especially on easy. Like, none of it's really mandatory. But yeah, like, just I just can't believe every little thing. I'm like, there's no way they skipped past this. They didn't bother to include this. Everything from the original game that I wanted is in there, and it's just like blown up the way you expect it to be blown up. The gold saucer intro. Oh my god, it's not quite Honeybee Inn, but fuck, that was something.
I'm sorry, we might be getting my attention.
Oh, Derek, you haven't played it, hey?
No, I'm waiting
Is
for
it
the
what you were
PC
saying?
port. So,
Yeah.
which unfortunately the PC port comes out very shortly before Monster Hunter, I think. So it's gonna have to
Yeah.
wait till after Monster Hunter. But
It's like in the next couple weeks, right?
Mhm.
I think so. It's like a couple weeks away. Yeah.
Also happy to announce, so far I have not come across Kid G. I do not know what Kid G is, but everyone has been telling me about Kid G, and I'm blessed. I've not been exposed to that yet. So
The fuck is Kid G?
The little goblin. It's one of the side quest things. It's
Is it cringe?
I did like
Is it
every
so
side
cringe?
quest in that game, and I don't remember this. Hold on.
wow.
Oh yes, that shit sucks.
Yeah, that shit sucks.
That shit fucking sucks. Where you have to play as fucking Yuffie and Aerith and all. Yeah, that shit.
The Cactuar
Yes, that
minigame.
shit
Yeah.
sucks. Yeah, that's where I tapped out. That mini game is what made like the decline of like the hype of Rebirth for me. Was specifically like that. Like
So skip half the mini games is really what I'm hearing.
some
There's
of them
too
are quite
many.
fun, but like
there's
some
too
of them are like
many.
some of them are put in like a lot of the fun ones are in Gold Saucer. Like Costa del Sol has a couple that I enjoyed. They're really simple. But there's like some weird ones in like the main story that are like mandatory. Like there's one with Barrett on a mine cart and you have to shoot barrels to keep Yuffie distracted. And it's like, what are we even doing here? But,
Yeah, like especially if you do all the side stuff, like in like the first like half of that game, you're like, I feel like I'm playing a mini game collection. I don't feel like I'm playing a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much, and like it makes sense for in Gold Saucer, right?
Oh
But,
yeah,
like,
obviously Gold
in
Saucer.
random sort. Like, don't make me fucking rotate a mushroom to fucking pluck it perfectly. Like,
Final Fantasy
goddamn.
Party. Yeah, but I think so. The nice thing about the game, if you don't do the side stuff, which I think it's designed really well, it's almost not even an open world game if you just mainline it. Like all the open world, the towers, like all that stuff, all of that is basically side content. There's, I would say, very little to none required for the main quest.
I just need to wait for you to play through games and just do it how you do it.
I really think I need to give it another shot where I actually skip a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have the brain worms that make me want to complete shit like all the way.
And I
I do.
understand why people feel compelled to do that, and it sucks because I think I've had a different experience than a lot of people, especially with like pacing. Like a lot of games, I feel like this has incredible pacing, and they're like, oh my god, like it happened with Final Fantasy 16, where like I didn't do that wall of side quests at the end, but a lot of people did.
Well, the unfortunate thing is like a lot of the side quests that you do build towards relationships with people. So it like that affects like who you get as your date.
And that's why I'm picking and choosing what I do in Rebirth. I initially said I wasn't going to do anything, and I'm like, okay, like I want to learn more about this person. I'm doing my best to like pick or like, oh, this looks like a junk side quest. I'm not going to bother.
And that was the thing that kind of was tough for me, is because I really wanted. There's some really, really great character moments, even in some of the really shitty side quests.
Yeah.
And so like I couldn't bring myself to miss that stuff because I do love the character stuff in Rebirth so much.
The one in Cosmo Canyon that you're gonna get a side quest where you like basically you go out and you have to take pictures of stuff and you can like end up taking pictures of Aerith. It's really fucking cute. I recommend doing that one.
Yes, that one is very good.
The characters in this game are so good. Like Aerith and Tifa's relationship is like fucking phenomenal. Like it's just stuff that like was kind of like the original game. It's like it's just the limitations of the platform at the time, right? Like
They really fleshed out Tifa and gave her more than just being like Cloud's crush or like having a crush on Cloud, which I really like. Like a lot of people found like some of her story stuff. Have you done that? Have you been to Gongaga yet?
Yep, I just did that.
Okay, so you did the thing where you go to the reactor and all that shit happens with her. Yeah, so a lot of people didn't like that, but I actually rather enjoyed it.
And it kind of like I don't know where it's going yet at the end, but it's kind of like a mirror of what happens to Cloud and Mideel in like the original, where he's going through his memory. It's cool. So I'm interested to see where that's going.
She's my girl. Like she's
Tifa's
just
awesome. Also, I feel like some people might feel like she's too much, but I love Yuffie.
God, she is good. She's so good. She's funny, and her combat's really fun. Her combat is it's so versatile because
it's really cool. I didn't think I was gonna want to play as her. Yeah,
I did not play Intergrade because I did not like Yuffie's combat in that game. But
I didn't finish it because I hated it. So it's different in Rebirth.
Yeah, they streamline it a lot. Because I asked Zach that same question. Like when we were playing through it, I was like, it's her combat the same here as it is in Intergrade? Because I hated it in Intergrade, and he said no, they changed it and they made it a lot better.
She can be super overpowered too. She has a couple abilities that, like, if you spec into them right, they're disgustingly powerful.
I'll find out in like May at this rate, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it is also just hilarious to see like Yuffie just wrecking shit.
Yeah. I am excited for that PC version. I'm excited to finally play it. It was hard. We didn't think, none of y'all thought I could stick it out.
No, we had this discussion. I knew you were probably going to stick to your guns. I just wanted to play it alongside you and have a good Final Fantasy experience.
But here's the thing is now when I start playing it, I can text you about it and annoy the fuck out of you. And
cool. Love that. Looking forward to that.
Okay, well, never mind.
It's
fine. It's fine. I'm a burden. It's okay. You know, but yeah, so FF7 Rebirth. Jeff, you been playing anything else, or has that been your meat and potatoes recently?
No, that's all I've been playing.
Rockin'. Bustin', what you been playing, bud?
So I played through the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yeah, you did, buddy.
I did. Yes, and I am delighted to report that is the most wrong I have ever been about a game pre-release. They actually pulled off a proper remake of Silent Hill 2, and
don't give any too many spoilers.
No, I wasn't going to. I just
did. You nearly shit yourself in the prison, Justin?
So this is one specific thing that happened in the prison that just lined up perfectly well. I'm usually pretty hardened when it comes to horror stuff. And Silent Hill 2 is also a game I'm extremely familiar with. So, even when they're pulling off stuff...
games.
Even when they're pulling off stuff really well, it doesn't get to me too well. However, I had just got new headphones that have really, really good, really good audio. I'm very happy with them. But also, Silent Hill 2 is an amazing game to play with them first because the audio is so good in that game.
God, the fact that it didn't win any awards
is insane.
Fucking for voice acting and for just
Tell me how
sound.
funny it would have been if James's actor won Best Actor over an entirely women opposing cast, though.
God,
it would have been funny. It would have been horrible. It would have been funny.
But yeah, so just the way it worked out is I was positioned in just the right place in a room. It's just some side bathroom that you can explore. And as you're walking out of it, you hear some pounding on the door and a woman starts screaming.
Oh, jeez.
However, with the surround sound and the positional audio, it sounded like it was exactly at the front door to my apartment. And I lost it. Because I seriously thought somebody was freaking out at my door. But no, it's great. I do think a couple sections were maybe expanded on a bit too much. There's one section in particular I thought kind of dragged on, but overall, it's great. I really had a good time with it, and I was really impressed at the work that was done, especially since I am familiar with a lot of Bloober's other games, and their handling of similar themes has been very poor in the past. I haven't thought their games were particularly scary at all. I thought, it just not only did, it felt like a lot of their games have been, hey, we like Silent Hill 2 a lot, and then showing that they just didn't get what made Silent Hill 2 work.
Yeah.
And then it's all of a sudden here, they got everything right. And it is
And it's funny because I remember when the first trailer released, it was like a combat trailer, and everybody was like, "This is not what Silent Hill is about. This is a really bad like trailer. This game's going to be bad." And I remember watching the combat and being like, "This looks really good." Like I didn't understand why people were hating on it so fucking hard. Like I understand that like combat is not the main thing than Silent Hill to focus on, and I got like that argument of it, but people were just like, "Oh, it looks so bad. It looks so bad." And I was like, "No, it actually looks pretty modernized for what it was."
The team actually said they were very unhappy with that trailer because that was not something they wanted to put forward. That was something Konami did.
I also feel like a lot of people were just primed for this game to be bad. Right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I think a lot of people, and I think that's like something to kind of think about moving forward with like remakes and remasters and all that kind of shit going like just because something's being remade doesn't mean you automatically have to shit on it and like think it's going to be awful.
But like, I feel
the reason because it was Bloober, from what I understand.
It was specifically because it was this team and their history.
No, I get it. I completely get it. I completely get it. I just like I hope people like.
I'm really proud of how many people went into this game going like, man, I didn't believe. I don't trust Bloober team, and I came out like really seeing the vision. Like. I feel good about how many people I saw say I didn't trust in it, but I recognize it was good and I feel better. Like that's the quote unquote discourse around Silent Hill 2 actually gave me a lot of faith in people to like handle shit.
People do not like to admit when they're wrong.
And it's one thing that also has I've been thinking about, and we'll probably touch on this later, but like and like, there's even a fairly recent interview with Bloober's CEO, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna stop making shitty games." Like
Love when you can own that.
Like he just straight up said, "Like, yeah, we made some shitty games. We're gonna stop doing that." And like, I wish so many more teams got that opportunity. Bloober's made a lot of games. They have not made very many good games. This game is great. And it's also through a combination of making several games, trying stuff and failing, but also they clearly did actually listen to some very specific complaints that people have had with their games, particularly with the medium over the past several years. And they not only took it to heart, they made sure that they learned. It wasn't just like, hey, we're just going to do something because we think it's what they want us to do after feedback. Like they actually took the time to learn and to grow and to really integrate that in. And I just wish so many more teams had that opportunity because, so many are just not even getting an opportunity to release anything these days, much less release several games that may not be great, and then all of a sudden come out with something where everything clicks into place. But yeah, I never thought I'd be saying this, but I do highly recommend the Silent Hill 2 remake. It's a really
You're a masochist and enjoy just, harsh, dark, deep themes. Absolutely. Crush it, kid. I believe in you.
Maybe we're just tough. We're big tough.
I'm not. I couldn't play the game. I have to watch my spouse play the game because I'm a big weenie.
The spoiler for our Game of the Year show, what I just think it's hilarious. Like my 2 games of the year were 2 games I never thought I would touch, which is Dragon's Dogma 2 and Silent Hill 2 remake.
It's so I should have
brought that up.
It's absolutely not like a Jeff core game, but I probably like it for all different reasons than Justin. I'm just addicted to checking the map and unlocking all the doors and solving all the puzzles.
Yeah,
the puzzles are. I love the puzzles. I really enjoy that side of it.
Side note. I didn't get to bring this up in the beginning because I was dumb and forgot to, but Game of the Year show, January 30th, we'll repeat at the end of the show, but Game of the Year show, January 30th, most of the crew, sans Britt, you're on a work trip, I believe you said.
Well, it's like I have to drive quite far to go to a meeting, and then I have to drive quite far to come home. So I don't know
you need to rest.
like what time.
I get it.
I might show up. I'll just have to play it by
I
ear.
would love
see how
if
I
you
feel.
did, but understand if you can't.
Yeah.
But anyway, Game of the Year show, January 30th. As always, it's given us a little extra time to lock in our feelings. So, sorry, continue.
I think that was it.
I think that's it. Britt, what you been playing?
I've been playing Marvel Rivals, and I've been playing so I beat the story in Dawn Trail, and I was doing 14 stuff for a little bit. But WoW also had an expansion release, so I've been going back and replaying that. It's interesting, kind of like it's interesting playing two MMOs at the same time and comparing what works and what doesn't work as far as, like, in my opinion, MMOs go. I think WoW has a lot of great story potential. I don't think they execute it well. Whereas Dawn Trail was just, in my lovely opinion, not good. So, you know, it's interesting because I enjoyed playing through both. I'm enjoyed playing through WoW more, I think, just because my stake in the investment and I guess my expectations for story isn't as high as it was for Dawn Trail. So yeah, I've just been playing through that expansion kind of at my own pace. They had their 20 anniversary event, 20 years, 25 years.
That's crazy to think.
Yeah. So they had an event for that. So, you know, I was digging around on that, and I said in chat earlier that I am John today because I'm wearing flannel, but I also downloaded Final Fantasy VI for Steam Pixel Remaster because that is the one that I haven't played yet, and the one I think I want to give another true shot with the Pixel remasters. Of course, I got the Switch version.
That's actually on my list to play finally this year as well. Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah. So who wanted the Pixel remasters to review, and then we got a Switch copy, and they didn't want it, so I said I'd take it. Do we remember this?
I remember, but I don't remember who.
I want to say it was
Finn wasn't available.
Jeff. I want to say Jeff. Didn't you want the Pixel remasters?
I mean, I don't remember what I wanted last.
Because John got them all. John already had them pre-ordered. So
yeah. So so I have it on Switch, but I kind of just I don't want to play on Switch. I want to play on PC. So I downloaded it for Steam, and shout out to Zach. He's the one that got me, because I was actually thinking about doing it, and then he started playing through it. And I was like, yeah, I kind of want to give it a shot again. I think that would be fun. And I had so much fun with 4. Like, 4 is one of my favorite Final Fantasy nows. And I give credit where credit is due with the Pixel remasters, because I do not think I would have enjoyed that game had it not been for the ability to fucking boost myself up with EXP and Gil or Gold.
Oh my god, I would have hated all of these games.
Yeah,
I need that shit in old RPGs now. I can't.
Yeah, I can barely fucking go get myself a glass of water. Like, come on, let's go through these fights, and you know.
I looked it up. I was supposed to get the Pixel Remaster code, but we just never got one.
Yeah, or we got it really late, so you weren't available.
Maybe I didn't
anymore.
scroll down far enough.
CJ remembers, and CJ
got it
clarified.
So, but we got a Switch one, and I got that one because I didn't buy it. Okay. Just to clarify,
because I didn't want to take it because I already had a few of them on PC, so I didn't want to bother. I was just going to get the rest on PC. So
so I have it on Switch. I lovingly played through 4 on Switch, and I'm just ready to kind of steam through 6. I initially tried to play it back in 2019 on the PS4, just the old school version of it, and I did not enjoy it because it's a very rough game to play. And if you're not into super old school JRPGs, which I say that, but like, and I bring up this argument every time I talk about Final Fantasy VI, is it's like Chrono Trigger came out around the same time, and it's a great game. You don't need to speed boost through it. You don't need to hardcore level up through it. It's just a perfect old school JRPG. And you could not touch it and just re-release it, and it would still be a great game that is fun to play, not frustrating, and that you can get through. 6 is like not that whatsoever. Like 6 is, if you don't fucking fish up the biggest fucking fish, this character will die. Like, you know, it's just there's
Making a game obtuse as fuck or hard as fuck doesn't make it interesting or
No.
cool. It just makes it annoying.
And like, of course, I give it some leniency, like for the time, like that's what game difficulty was. But again, at the same time, Chrono Trigger, absolute perfect game, perfect as is. I was able to go back through it and play it, and multiple times, and I never had issues on any parts. And if I did, I would grind like maybe a little bit, or change my team comp or do some either way. But yeah, so I plan on starting that soon. And then as always, I'm playing Balatro.
As all the cool kids do.
I am trying really hard not to buy Balatro on my phone. On my again. On my phone. Well, to be fair, I got the Steam version. We got that code from WoW, so bless WoW, bless Finn for throwing me up for that one. And then I was like, well, it's on Switch. Why would I not fucking? It was before the charity stream last year, and I was like, well, I need Balatro when I go travel, obviously. Yeah. And now I'm just like, well, what if I bought it again? The only thing that's stopping me is that the games aren't synced, so your progress is like linked to each individual one, and I don't know if I have the heart to start all over again and try to. I made so much progress.
The brainworms will win eventually, but
yeah, I am hoping that is one thing that they do, is they give you the ability to have an account that you can just load up on whatever system you're playing on.
I actually am in a similar boat with Balatro, because like, yeah,
see, it's fucking frustrating.
Because like, I actually got it because the PlayStation Stars thing had a glitch for a while where you couldn't actually get PSN credit with the coins that you earn. But I had enough points, so I was able to just get Balatro. Like, I could just buy redeem it for the game, which is cool. So I did that, and then it came out on mobile like shortly after, and like my Fridays at work are like dead. So I'm like, oh well, maybe I should just get it for my phone, but like I can't bring myself to buy it again, because also like it doesn't have its hooks in me as much as it does a lot of other people. Like, I really enjoy it. Like, I will sit down and I'll play it for a while when I start, but like I'm able to walk away from it, and I'm not just like, oh man, I gotta get back and play it. I play like I actually really enjoy the level of it, enjoyment and I have with it, but like I am like, but it really would be good on my phone.
Yeah, like there's so many times where like, and now that TikTok's going away, what am I gonna do with all my free time when I'm sitting on the fucking couch? Like,
I don't know. I think TikTok has been single-handedly trying to convince me to burn every relationship I have and flee into the woods. So like,
I think that's a you algorithm problem, babe.
I think the algorithm is really, really trying to convince me to do some toxic shit. So like,
my algorithm is just like, here's this recipe. Oh, by the way, you're sad. Oh, by the way, here's the thing about being in love. Oh, here's some Marvel Rivals bullshit. Like, it's
mine is I'm not even getting the thirst traps anymore. It is, or the pit bulls. It's purely just like everyone around you is abandoning you. It's like, thanks, need that right now.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just been it's like, again, I'm like in this like deep depression state, so it's really hard for me to focus on playing games, which is why I think a Pixel Remaster is perfect for me, because I can just like speed through it if I need and take breaks, pause, and all that shit. But I don't know what I don't mean to like go off track but what are we all looking forward to this year? Like, game wise, I know you got Monster Hunter.
I was gonna say, we can skip me.
Yeah. But like, what else is coming out this year?
So much of this year is like
no one
in the air,
because everyone's waiting to see when Grand Theft Auto 6 lands.
I feel like the last like 2-3 years have just been such hard hitters as far as like games go, that it's like now I'm kind of excited that it's not like a heavily stacked year.
It might be time to catch up on some backlog.
Yeah. And like I won't feel guilty about it. Like the FOMO is real with games, and then I FOMO so hard I just fucking burn myself out FOMOing, and I just like fear myself away from playing anything. Like
there's a lot of stuff on the list, but it's a lot of stuff I don't give a shit about. Like I don't like. We got people in chat bringing up stuff like New Dying Light, New Kingdom Come, Deliverance, and like those are going to be big games. I also don't care. So like I'm good. I do hate that Yakuza
6 will be one that'll I'll sink my teeth into for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's a whole bunch of games that are like,
GTA
like everyone's like, this isn't 2025. Like Ghost of Yote, does anyone really think that's coming this year?
No way.
Maybe.
I do think that is coming this year.
Okay.
Bold choice.
Yeah. I mean, it could. I'm looking forward to Death Stranding 2 and 2 Point Museum. Those are my two.
So kind of let's maybe use this to transition into our next unfortunate topic. Did they say that they were going to release anything with the Switch 2, and what is the release date?
We got the Switch 2 out of the way, so you wouldn't have to deal with it.
Oh my god!
I burned through it in the first 5 minutes.
I wanted to talk shit about it. It is made shittily.
Can we talk shit about it?
Yes. Okay. It is made so shittily. That little like click in piece. That like it doesn't slide in anymore. You like clip it in.
Magnets.
That shit's gonna break. That shit's gonna break so fucking hard. Oh my god.
Nintendo's usually really good about this stuff, but I gotta know.
Hold on.
I gotta put my hands on it. I don't know.
So like, it has like a little fucking like a chip, like almost like this, right?
Yeah, it's a like, little like maglev connector kind of deal. Yeah,
it's like this, and it's tiny and it's thin as fuck. And I'm like, that's gonna break.
I worry
that's
about
gonna
that.
break more than the fucking swiping. Oh my god.
Someone else said that, but I don't see how it's possible because the outer shell around it extends the same length, and then I imagine when the Joy-Con is in there, like even if you flex it back and forth, I don't see how it can move.
Oh, baby, little kids ain't gonna care about that. They're gonna take those controllers out and just wiggle the fuck out of it.
Oh, like just grab onto that little.
Yeah.
Little kids are brutal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like especially for a system that's geared towards fucking children, like it ain't gonna be cute. It ain't gonna be good. It's gonna be worse than like drift and all that shit.
Is this hard because like the Switch 2 is both exactly the thing everyone needed it to be, which is just the Switch but 2. But at the same time, that's the least exciting thing to talk about when you've got no meaningful details. Like
it doesn't even look all that different.
I know Mario Kart 9.
No.
I know Mario Kart 9 is going to sell insane numbers, but Mario Kart 9 is also not the game that's going to show off what a new Switch might be able to look like. Do you know what I mean?
And it'll be fun, but like I can only get so excited. Like it's like Mario Kart. Like Mario Kart's fun.
That'll be fun for like a month, and then everybody's gonna move on. And then it'll just be that party game that we all play when we don't know what the fuck else to play with 8+ people. You know, like that's what Mario Kart.
What do you mean? You don't want to end friendships in Mario Party?
No, I don't think I do. I think I'm over that. I did want to say one other thing about the Switch 2 though is I had somebody like. I made a post. I made a post earlier, and it was just basically like, y'all have been foaming at the mouth for the Switch 2 for fucking years, and I think it's a little hilarious that it's basically just an upgraded Switch.
Yeah.
You know? And somebody was like, well, an Xbox 360 is just an updated version of an Xbox. Like somebody like did all that shit on me, right?
And A is if you didn't know, but also B, he was called the Great White Duke. He was named after like the shitty racist David Bowie character that is like a shameful one of somehow not the most shameful part of David Bowie's history.
Right.
You know, it's still the pedophilia.
I brought it up because so many people said that they were going to be disappointed if the Switch 2, which it ended up being, was just another Switch, which is like a fancy title, maybe a few hardware changes, but it's essentially just like a Switch 2.
It's PlayStation 4 to 5, right? Like it's
right. And like, sure, fine, whatever. But Nintendo is known for being like innovative and like making things when they release new consoles, like making it have something new, right? So like a lot of people wanted just something different, something that made it stand out from a Switch, something that made it a little bit more special, something that was like, this screams a brand new console for Nintendo. And we did not get that, which is why I made the comment, like, it's just an upgraded Switch.
I see both sides. Like, sorry, Britt, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, it's just an upgraded Switch with some hard, like, obviously the controllers, like they switched that, and like it's fine, like, and it's not even. It's the
least exciting Nintendo console reveal, right? Like,
right, and that's the thing that frustrates me. It's like, it's not even Nintendo's fault. It's like everybody fucking wore me out about it because they speculated and just like blew it up to be this bigger fucking thing than it needed to be.
We spent way too long fucking arguing about every single rumor and leak about this thing.
I think the rub with their approach is there could be some big feature, maybe it's not hardware, but their choice to just basically do a little slow pan around of, like, you know, the render or whatever. We don't know anything about what it does or how, like, there could be some killer feature, killer app. I don't think there is, but there could be, but like, we won't know about that for 3 months.
It's basically just like a Switch OLED, like, 2 almost, like not to that extent. I know people are gonna fucking fight me on that shit and like my wordage.
The Great White Duke is getting ready again.
Right, he's fucking, and he's getting his keyboard.
It's like a Switch. Like, it's just a Switch.
It's just Switch.
It's
like
Switch 2.
Y'all,
Ta-da!
and like that's what I'm like y'all fucking did not shut the fuck up about this goddamn console.
And then it was Switch 2.
And then it just ended up being a Switch 2. Like, I hate
funny.
every single fucking one of you. How dare you put me through that for the last 4 or 5 years?
And it felt like everyone knew that's what it was going to be, and that's why I couldn't understand the fervor around this. I was like, why are you all so worked up to just get like the same fucking thing but more powerful when all you do is like say how boring that is when everyone else does it?
Yeah, it is interesting for me because, like, even a couple years ago, I think I said it on the show, is that like Nintendo is kind of going to be their own worst enemy coming off of the Switch 1. Are they going to do something?
They can't do something different because it sold like 100 million units.
You know what they can do is make a good Pokemon game. Maybe now.
Ooh.
Maybe. I'm just fucking spitballing here. Maybe that's the real issue and not a fucking console issue.
But yeah. So back when the Revolution was being rumored. Oh man, like, if you guys think the Switch 2 like speculation stuff was crazy, I was in like weird random forums on the internet with just the most bizarre like conspiratorial posts trying to figure out.
Are you ready for thermal feedback, Justin?
Yeah. Are you ready for with nerves?
Do you remember that, Britt?
What was the Revolution?
It was
the code name for the Wii.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They announced it as the Nintendo Revolution.
Well, because they used to have code names, right? The GameCube was Dolphin, the Wii was Revolution, the Wii U was Cafe, the Switch was NX. You know.
But yeah, so I remember the lead up to that. But then I also do remember the Wii U was actually revealed while I was working, I think. And I actually was like, you know, I turned off my phone. I told my friends not to text me. I'm like, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it when I get home. I don't want to know anything about it. And I remember just the crushing fucking disappointment, like at the Wii U reveal. I'm like, this sucks.
I worked for Nintendo during the Wii U, and you fucking wonder why I don't work there anymore.
I'm just Justin describing the Wii U reveal. I'm just picturing the Homer car reveal from the
yeah. It was a bad time.
It is kind of weird because it's like I do kind of wish there was something more interesting, but also I'm glad that they didn't. I don't know. I gotta see games. Honestly, that's really the brand.
Risks are fun and they can pay off, but like
again, if they make a good Pokemon game, if Pokemon runs smooth and looks great, I'll say that's a win, baby.
I don't even need smooth. If it basically hits 30 FPS most of the time, I'll be happy.
And I played this as somebody who enjoyed the shitty Pokemon games. Like I'm
oh my god, y'all remember?
I sound like I'm a hater, but
do you remember
like
doing the
I
fucking
love those
Nuzlocke? We got to do another one of those.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
I said the other day,
Pat
like,
back. If we're gonna do it, we need Pat back. He was like the one that was like, okay, what goes good against this? Psychic's good against
I
what?
know the type matchups. I was just high the entire time.
No.
But yeah, I just need to see games for it. Really, is kind of the big thing, because I am always interested, because I think even when Nintendo isn't so much innovating, they still kind of find creative ways to utilize hardware.
Well, that's the thing I was kind of like hoping for, was like, if you want to make another Switch 2, like, I get it, it's really successful. It's like, why fix perfection in that sense? Like, why go out of your way to make something different when this is working? Like, I get all that, but I just wish there was something that would have just like put it over the edge a little bit, right? Like, imagine if they like started diving into like VR. Like, how fucking cool would that be? Like,
don't they have
the
a VR?
Nintendo. that was another thing in the lead up to the resolution. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but it was a few days before like a presentation Nintendo was going to be doing, and some guy by himself did this lavish CG trailer for the Nintendo On.
I remember.
And this was
game
like
FAQs was in shambles.
like we had never really seen somebody do that kind of fake before at that point on the internet. Like, yeah. So I do remember the lead up to that. So. Oh, yeah,
anyway, that was all my shit I had to say. It was just like, it was like what I was expecting it to be, what I think everybody was expecting it to be, and more so, I'm mad at y'all. Like, not you guys specifically. I'm mad at the people who would not shut the fuck up about it. Like, you knew what
I
this
was
was
like, do you know how many times I
and yet
stopped John from bringing this up on the show?
Like, no, like, when I say y'all, I mean like they know who I'm talking about, right? When I say men suck,
it's
like,
the
I don't
royal
mean, like,
y'all, right?
Yeah, it's like y'all fucking.
And I still deserve like 30% of that. It's fine.
Like, I'm mad that I'm not excited for this, because it was just so fucking beaten to the ground that I'm like, I don't care.
Maybe that April presentation will change things. Maybe seeing games will do it. That's what it is. The hardware is just a way for me to play Nintendo games. Like, I love Nintendo's games.
I'm also notoriously just not a hardware person. Like, I don't give a shit. Like,
I need the games. So show me those.
I'm hoping, like, when we talk about like the uniqueness of Nintendo, I'm pessimistic. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be, but I'm hopeful that the extra power gives them the freedom to impress us with the games, right? And what they could do with that extra power. Because like the other boxes have power, but it's purely used for rendering fidelity, right? Whereas I'm hoping Nintendo is going to do that thing that we always want devs to do, and most often in the AAA space they don't do it, where it's like, no, like, remember when Red Faction came out for the PS2? Oh, you could deform the terrain, like, this is the future of games. And it's like, no, I play a AAA game in 2025 and I still can't even like take a chunk out of this rock wall.
AI is worse still than it was in Fear 1, right? Like,
so Nintendo's really good in that area. Like, look at what they did with, like, it's not Justin's jam and it's not completely my jam, but like, I can appreciate what they did with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like,
it's not my jam either. No, fuck Breath of the Wild. Let's go.
Yeah.
I wish we'd get old school Zelda back. I'm not a big fan of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom.
But ignoring the Zelda IP, like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
let's go. We got the best group for this.
Yeah, all right. I'm now speaking to y'all, not you guys, to like the same people.
I will say I'm glad they were merciful and gave us the date when we were going to find out the next.
God bless. If they didn't give us that date, I was gonna. Never mind. I can't.
just because if we thought the speculation was bad already, it would have gotten so much worse if we didn't have a solid date. We're not saying anything until this date.
I also love that Nintendo was just like, fine, fuck, we'll give you a fucking update. Jesus. They were gonna hold on to it as close as they could, and then like it was like, oh, this person got this, they got an early access thing, and Nintendo was like, fuck it, fine, we'll give you a fucking, here you go, take it.
God damn, like
you fucking thirsty bitches.
So
Yeah,
as
that's
far
all
as
I
what
have
I've
to
been playing, no, I have played nothing. I just wanted to throw that out. It's just Marvel Rivals and FF14.
Give me a quick 14 update there, because I've been missing out. Where you at?
Okay, that's fair. Let me give you a quick FF14 update before we get into like a real topic. So I've been playing FF14 previously very heavily with Britt and with John. Very recently, Britt has been a little on the busier side. So it's mostly just been me and John. Which is a shame.
WoW. I'm trying to beat WoW.
Yeah, my wife got me a special MMO mouse for when I spend time with my two buds for Christmas, which is just such a sweet thing to do.
That is sweet.
But anyway, I've finished Realm Reborn. I've been doing post Realm Reborn stuff, getting into Heaven's Word. I just finished the Crystal Tower stuff, which was like really good to finally get into some like retro Final Fantasy. Like here's a bunch of FF3 themed content.
I had the reverse when I played FF3, where I was like, "Oh my god, it's the Crystal Tower from 14."
Yeah.
I love that they do that shit.
They actually incorporate that really brilliantly. Like it could have been goofy as fuck, but
and I loved it. And
they beautifully like.
I love their incorporation of like the Cloud of Darkness is a great take on the character. I finally get to meet Grahatia, who the gays of the internet have been foretelling for. Also,
Fiero from Wicked.
Yeah. Well, whatever. A fucking Grahatia.
He's not fucking Fiero. He's Grahatia.
It turns out, Grahatia is a fucking goober, and I love him.
He's great.
I texted Britt like a screenshot of finally meeting him, and I was like, "Oh no, I need him bouncing and moaning on it." I love my boy. I also recognize he's disappearing for a long time.
I do want to like kind of like. Funnily enough, like going off of what you said, Yoshi P is very intentional about its characters and letting them be an option for like a romantic interest for your Warrior of Light. And there's a lot of characters that kind of fit that role. And he leaves it open to interpretation, and I love that. I love that he specifically said that for it's like main cast characters, right? Because like I think that's a big draw to games like Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate, Mass Effect, all that shit is like having a romance, and it's like he knows what he's doing. He purposely puts characters into the game that resonate with you. Like he's like pretty much said, like if this character resonates with you and you feel like you have a romantic connection with them, he's like, that's on you. Like that's something that you can like think you can headcanon that shit if you want. Like I really love that he's just open to people basically shipping their characters with like the NPCs.
I love that. I love being like open to that. That's nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's it. FF14. I've been tanking, Jeff. I am a paladin currently because that's one of the 2 tanks available to me.
What level are you?
50 something.
Oh, okay.
I want to switch Dark Knight when it becomes available, and then I want to try Gunbreaker when it eventually becomes available. I did also start trying out Arcanist, mostly because I want to have Scholar, because I want to have a healer on backup. Because it's me. I'm gonna heal in any video game I play because nobody plays healer, and I hate myself. So, I only play
healer.
I only play. See, that's the thing is like everybody we play with, like everybody has tank classes, and you're the only one who heals. So I was like, maybe I should basically, I was like, maybe I should learn to be a healer so Britt can get a break. But also I do play healer.
I'm not an end game healer. I will say that I won't fucking touch that shit with a 10-foot fucking pole, but I will go through content. Like previous content. I won't do mainstream combat, but I'll do previous content as a healer.
Yeah. Also, Scholar just works well for my character, like aesthetically, conceptually. So like I'm trying. Anyway, that's been my mini FF14 update, Jeff. And Marvel Rivals, I got to play one match with real human beings at launch with Britain and some friends. And then I got to have recently one more match with Britain and some friends, or not match, one more night. And then I last night finally played with my little brother Brad and my sister Charlotte and Charlotte's two girlfriends. So we had a really good time.
Iron Fist filthy.
I'm
casual?
really not good as Iron Fist. I'm
Really?
working on it. I'm getting better. I'm still better as Moon Knight. I'm better as Mantis. My Thor's getting a lot better. But yeah, I'm enjoying Marvel Rivals a lot, and I'm really curious how it
fuck
continues
Overwatch.
Yeah, I'm done. Maybe Overwatch should have made that Netflix series a few years ago, or what the fuck ever.
Maybe Overwatch should like offer great shit in their battle pass instead of just reskins.
Yeah.
Maybe Overwatch shouldn't release fucking non-binary characters and not give them anything because you don't know what to fucking do with them.
Right.
Like,
Maybe the only non-binary character shouldn't be the most fucking sexless buck-toothed goober known to man. That I love when non-binary representation doesn't fuck. You know what I mean? Like, great for me. Me and John were talking about, I don't know, Britt, you were there for a bit of the FF9 episode last week, I think, but like there's a bit we were talking about Quina, and I was like, I don't like that Quina's my non-binary representation. I don't want that.
Oh my god, you don't like fucking eating frogs, bitch?
Yeah, no.
Like, that's not you? That's not your representation?
This isn't what I want.
No. No.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I've been playing. Let's move to actual news. So we got a couple news things to talk about. I think the more important, maybe the heavier one to get into, is we got a really interesting article and some really interesting insights into the state that Xbox is in. We got a report that Xbox was in danger of being shuttered by Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella back in 2021, I think it was.
Yes, 2021.
And the fact that Xbox remained open in 2021 was dependent on a couple of very specific and very strict metrics. First off, they needed monumental growth in terms of the actual business and output, which is why and what drove the acquisitions of Bethesda and of Activision Blizzard, right? Basically, if they didn't do that, Microsoft was going to shutter them. The other thing being Game Pass. They had to promise to hit 100 million Game Pass subscribers by
2030.
Come here.
So with half of the way there, right? It's 2025 now.
The way there, I don't think. I
they
think they're
are
at
a
about
third
35.
of the way there. They need 66 million more Game Pass subs.
And it has been stagnant for a couple years.
Yeah,
more or
it's
less.
been very stagnant. So,
and one other thing, I don't think this was mentioned in the article, but this is something that we knew, is that Nadella actually got bonuses based off of how many Game Pass subscribers they got.
Yeah. Because CEOs.
Yeah, like it was directly linked. And it's actually why apparently they slightly changed the reporting metrics for Game Pass, like from I think subscribers to players, so that he could still qualify for some of these bonuses.
The wild thing about this is the evaluation of shutting the division was in 2021, a year after the launch of new consoles. So I think, man, what does that say? Right?
Well, to be fair,
what kind of state they're in at the time.
This, dude, think about back in 2021, everybody, the entire narrative around Xbox has been they are clearly in more trouble than they're letting on for so many years. And I almost feel fucking gaslit sometimes that Xbox is nah, dude, we're doing great. Look at these Game Pass subs. Right. We're making a new console. And I'm like, how are you guys not on your deathbed? And it turns out they genuinely kind of have been.
I didn't see this, and I'm not you guys know I'm not console worry, but because it's important for the context of Xbox because it matters how they're doing to their competitors, and I know they've mostly
because I need PlayStation to have a competitor, right?
Yeah. For the first 6 months of 2024, I don't this wasn't reported on much. I don't think people realize what a bad state that company is in from a hardware perspective. PlayStation sold 12 million units roughly in the first half of 2024 to Xbox's 2.
That's
actually
bad.
1 million. It was 12 million to 1 million global. Those numbers, like Microsoft doesn't. It was a mix of they're reliable numbers. They were extrapolated from a mix of like court documents and analyst numbers that were provided. But that was the number. Like PlayStation went from like 56 to 68 million, and Xbox went from 24 to 25 million. So like outsold 12 to 1. And like, yes, they're not concerned as much with moving hardware units, but that does say a little bit something about the relevance of your platform in the public eye.
And at that same time was when they had huge sales on the Series X. I don't know if you remember.
This is when release.
Yeah. Right? Well, and this is also so this was like first half of 2020. Yeah, so it was like a little bit after
last year. Yeah.
Starfield, and this is actually when I bought my Series X. Because
Microsoft.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Xbox, I should say.
Yeah, because I bought mine because it was $350 for a Series X, and I had a bunch of gift cards too, so I barely paid anything for this thing. And like they still didn't even move hardware when it was that heavily discounted. Right. And that was kind of when I realized I'm like, oh, I think their hardware is in trouble.
Well, like, and it kind of goes back to the conversation we had like a while ago when Xbox went through all their layoffs and everything. It's just like they know they've been struggling. They've been struggling for some time, and yet they spent so much money on buying Blizzard and then fucking Tom Howard. What the fuck is his company? I'm fucking blanking.
Bethesda.
Thank you. And it's like what. So you're just gonna lay off like the people who can do something with these IPs? Like what's the future for Xbox, knowing that in mind, knowing that they acquired these two big companies?
I do want to say I think gaming has a significant future, and it's going to be under the Xbox brand, no matter what at Microsoft. That is the branding that they're using. I think their lineup for the next couple of years is actually really strong.
Yes.
And it seems like they are very much embracing releases on other platforms. It really sounds like you'll be able to play their games where you want to play their games. So on the hardware side, I think they are struggling. However, I think now that things are kind of lining up with release schedules, they have so many studios under their belt, and like this year they have a pretty amazing lineup, and like there's some good stuff scheduling out into next year.
Sorry, just to finish.
I think it's not like because this article kind of paints a dark picture. I think on the game side, they are going to be doing well.
I don't think you can acquire Activision and Blizzard and Bethesda and like not continue to develop and release games. But the question of what dedicated Xbox hardware looks like I don't think Xbox as a closed garden platform exists to the extent that it exists at all anymore, right?
I do think they are going to continue releasing hardware, just for the people that have bought into that ecosystem already.
I think they're going to do hardware, but I think they're going to share IPs. I think that's the future that they're heading in. The direction they're heading.
That seems exactly like what they're going to be
ignoring the hardware. Going back to the article, like they was talking about, and Justin, like you said, they've got what looks like to be honest, I've been hearing that Xbox has good games coming for so long now, 10 or 15 years, like it kind of like show me Fable, show me it actually releasing, show me it be good.
God, but I would love a Fable game. That would cure my depression right now.
Based on what was said in this article, I don't even know if that matters that much, because it didn't matter that Hi-Fi Rush was good. That studio got fucking shuttered. Right? It doesn't seem to matter if the games are good, and given that they don't seem to care about unit sales because everything's on Game Pass, and they don't seem to care or have given up on hardware, this is the constant conversation on Xbox, like what is success? And according to Satya, it's 100 million Game Pass subscribers by 2030. I don't think that's happening. I don't think it's unreasonable to think that's not happening. So regardless of all these games coming in the next few years, I'm still a little worried. Like, I'm curious where this is going, unless it all pays off from the multi-platform approach. I don't know.
I think one thing that, especially for those to get to that level of Game Pass numbers, is I think Microsoft was really counting on cloud gaming taking off. That was something that they were talking about late in the Xbox One gen. They were talking about it early this gen. They really wanted to try to get people into cloud gaming and have that be linked like with Game Pass. And it seems like a lot of the progress on that has stalled, both in people utilizing those kind of features, as well as stuff that's available on it.
Microsoft's big, like, from what I think they're only just adding the ability to play the games you own, right?
Yeah. They've been adding stuff very slow, and that progress has slowed considerably. And I really do think that was what they were banking on to really blow up Game Pass specifically, was that people, no matter where they are in the world, if they have a phone, they can subscribe to Game Pass and play their games. And that hasn't really happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It still
doesn't feel good.
No,
right?
And
they laid off a bunch of people this week as well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like a great feeling about how 2025 is going to feel layoffs wise, right? It's also, this isn't necessarily directly relevant to Xbox, but because it's such an important facet of Microsoft, like, here's what's frustrating to me, right? Xbox is, for better or worse, like, at this point, a massive corner of the gaming industry, right? They own so many massively talented developers and so many massive IP, and they've kind of bought their way into being a cornerstone of the gaming world. And I don't like that they did that, but they are that now. Despite that, they're in danger of kind of the whims of Microsoft as a corporation, for not whether or not they can make more money than they spend, but like not being profitable enough by percentage, or not like generating enough subscription revenue, like bullshit like that. Meanwhile, Microsoft will dump endless amounts of money into AI initiatives that don't generate money, right? And burn the planet up, like, in retrospect. So it's like, where are our fucking priorities here? Does that make sense? Like, it's frustrating to see that Xbox is like a thing that could be sustainable with some minor changes, but Microsoft is putting such brutal demands on them compared to this fucked up AI business that Microsoft and every other tech company have dived into.
The problem is, like, all companies kind of suck to an extent by necessity because of how they work.
Yeah.
But big tech is like an extra evil on top of that. And unlike most other game publishers or hardware developers, Microsoft is big tech in a way that, Sega,
like the worst way,
Nintendo and Sony are not, right? And that's not Xbox, that's Microsoft, but they're the same thing, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Like, you can't separate them.
Yeah, exactly. So it fucking sucks because, like you said, they own. They are a big chunk of the industry now. So even if we hate them, like, they kind of have to succeed, because the cost, if they don't, could be immeasurable in terms of what happens to these franchises and the people at all these studios.
Yeah, I will say, if the Call of Duty House of Cards falls over, what we have seen, like, in terms of like layoffs and stuff in the industry is going to,
oh my god,
I don't think
I want to think about it.
People don't understand how
I'm out of wine. I'm not allowed to think about that.
We had those court documents leaked a few weeks ago. That was the budgets for some of the recent ones, and I think the only one I remember off the top of my head was Cold War, which was $700 million.
That costs more than an Avengers movie. What the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
and they're releasing one of these every year, and some of these are and like the past few years, the like live service side of things have been really struggling. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes and how that holds up and how they adapt to it.
Someone say live service.
Oh, are we ready? Are we ready to move on to the next thing? So, next and final topic. What?
Is it something in our chat?
No. Hey, Britt, share with the class.
Oh God. Okay. I don't. You know what? I'm just gonna let y'all click. It's a Blue Sky post.
Oh Jesus.
And have at it.
Oh Jesus. Hey. No, I'm gonna say it. I wish I was dead. Looking at that, I actually.
John Pork.
I actually wish I was fucking dead. All recovery I've gone through in the last 3 weeks just got undone in a single fucking mouse click. What the fuck?
Somebody posted one of the AI characters on Instagram, and it is a Gen AI pig named John Pork.
He looks weirdly like Bruce Willis.
He does. It says, "Hello there, prepare to be disturbed. I'm John Pork, your unexpected caller."
Dog, I'm deleting my Facebook and Instagram, and nobody's allowed to find me anymore.
John Pork will. Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
All right, John, there's your new fucking Blue Sky name, John Pork.
It's your display name for the week, motherfucker.
Right?
When even my dad is cracking jokes to me about how often John changes his display name, you know it's bad.
Somebody fucking retweeted or reskeeted whatever the fuck they're calling it, and it says it's giving unsolicited dick pic on Grindr. I'm John Pork.
Oh, I know what that's like. So actual news topic.
John Pork's good news.
No, it's not. Oh fuck. How am I supposed to transition away from John Pork? It's like a train wreck. Jesus.
We were talking about speaking of live service bullshit.
PlayStation canceled 2 more major projects that were both live service online multiplayer type titles. One of which was apparently a like live service online multiplayer God of War game. Here's the thing. I understand it's scary when things get canceled. You always have to worry about the people who work at those studios. Like, what are they going to, you would hope that they would get reassigned to something, but we've also seen that Sony will just fucking lay you off. But here's the thing, like, hey, Britt, you want to do that again for us? Good.
What did I do? Good.
Yes, good is kind of where I'm at.
Typing and I'm like, oh, should I not have been typing?
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm sorry to trigger your anxiety.
No. You're fine. You're fine.
But yeah, I'm kind of, I mean, I want to hear everyone's opinions, but like, I'm of the opinion that good.
So
it's just good.
I'm just worried specifically for Sony Bend. Because Sony Bend has had a rough several. So the 2 studios that these projects were closed at were Bluepoint and Sony Bend. Bluepoint was the one that was working on the live service.
Bluepoint's gonna be fine. Bluepoint will be given more to work on.
Bluepoint can easily pivot to another project. They did support work on God of War Ragnarok, so they could support Sony Santa Monica probably relatively easily. Bluepoint can pivot a lot easier. Bend has had several years of some rough spots. So their whole story has been really interesting, and I was hoping that we would finally get to see what they were working on next, because after Days Gone released, the studio heads at Bend themselves opted not to pitch Days Gone 2 to Sony. And then they were initially working on an Uncharted game. They were going to be taking over Uncharted after Naughty Dog wrapped up Lost Legacy. And then they ended up wanting to leave that project, and then they were supporting Naughty Dog's Last of Us Online, which has also been canceled. And so then they were working on their new IP, which has now been canceled.
And before Days Gone, after Golden Abyss, in that period, they also had like 3 projects canceled.
It's a project canceled in that time period. So like,
in 12 years, they've had like 6 out of 7 projects canceled.
Yeah, and so Bend, I really do worry for them, because I think there is a lot of talent at that studio that just has not been able to be channeled into the right project yet. And I was really hoping whatever they were working on is going to end up being, and they've been working on it for a while. Blue Point, I'm not worried about. I think they'll be able to pivot amazingly quickly. I do worry for the fate of Sony Bend, and I hope things pan out well for them.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm worried about the people who work at these studios, because like even that Blue Point will survive, but like it doesn't mean that everyone like who works at Blue Point is going to escape unscathed, that they won't see layoffs or even just contract employees, right, who lose their livelihood. So like when I say what I'm about to say, recognize that like I understand that in the moment to moment people's jobs may be at risk. That's unfortunately just the reality of the gaming industry, and that's Sony's choice. But one of the most damaging trends that we have seen in the last God knows how many years is the industry's trend of chasing big, expensive live service online games that will not stick around. And we just got done, like, I love playing Marvel Rivals, right? But the reality is only a couple of these games can exist at any given time. And Marvel Rivals doing well is almost certainly leading to the direct death of Overwatch 2. Yep. Right? So like that goes to show you it's not enough to be good. You have to be one of like 3 or 4 games people play. You are betting on a very expensive gamble for a winner takes all scenario. And that sucks for studios like Sony Bend and Blue Point, right? That are used to making single player experiences that they can sell and will sell X amount of copies. And they just have to worry about, will this thing that we spent X number of years making make its money back and make some profit on top? As opposed to, I mean, God, look what Suicide Squad did to Rocksteady.
200 million loss.
Yeah,
right?
and they just recently released their true ending or whatever the fuck that was.
Which is probably way early compared to what they wanted to do, but like,
and it ended up having to be like a 2-minute motion comic,
as
opposed to like a series of cutscenes that played out over the course
Rocksteady had
of
to
the game's
commit
life.
like 8 to 10 years of development, plus like probably had to plan on 5+ years of post-launch support for this game that they needed to make an amount of money no game can feasibly make.
Well,
I just
and I've got like it's probably not a hot take, probably disagreeable to the masses. I don't think let's pick on the God of War game from Blue Point. I absolutely understand the reaction to that from like our typical crowd. I don't think that game had to be bad. Blue Point's talented. Like obviously they haven't done like a battle game, but like God of War is explicitly about combat and abilities. There's no reason you can't make a good, assuming it's like a combat like oriented like, you know, I don't know if it's like it's a live service title, right? Like there's probably some kind of like PvP element to it. I think it actually could have been good, but like you said, it's not enough for a game to be good, but also this is like a mistake I see a lot. You need to be careful if you're going to go with an existing franchise. You need to pick something that makes sense for that IP.
Yeah.
And the audience that you're after for a God of War live service game is not the God of War fan base. You're after, you know, presuming it's like combat, arena, hero, whatever. You're after Marvel Rivals audience, right? Or Suicide Squad, what have you. Like you're after a different market, and they maybe don't care about God of War, and God of War fans maybe don't care about your live service game. Like it feels like these decisions are made by people that don't really understand the dynamics between the two.
They just want money. Yeah.
Well, Schreier just put out
that
that article, right, in Bloomberg, talking about how like the number one problem with game budgets these days is not like people want to blame like how expensive it is to make graphics, but it's not. It's salaries of like large teams, but that basically is a result of mismanagement. That like upper management across the games industry are risk averse. They don't understand video games. They are chasing trends from 2 years ago, which are outdated by the time you've even started development, much less the 5 years later your game will actually release.
Yep.
You know, and in a funny way, like this is the drum we keep on beating with companies like Capcom, but like it turns out that just trusting in the vision of your artists to make games, like Nintendo does the same thing, like to make the games that they think are going to capture people's attention, right? To have a diverse portfolio of like big stuff, small stuff is healthy for you. PlayStation used to understand this. PlayStation used to have big and small games, right? Of a bunch of different genres. And this shift towards we've got to have all either Naughty Dog games or Fortnites has not been good for them.
I think... Oh, sorry, go ahead. Finish.
I was just going to say, because fucking they're not releasing the big single player experiences very often, and they keep having to cancel the live service ones. So
yeah, so the live service thing, Jim Ryan in 2022 is said that they are working on 12 live service games. 9 of those have been canceled.
Why would you do that? Because you already know that at most 2 of them can be successful. Why would you? It's brutal.
And
you're setting 10 of them up for failure.
The one that is successful could be, you know, not Fortnite, but whatever the closest thing is. But like,
it is funny because they probably have had likely their biggest hit of these already with Helldivers 2, which is probably the least expensive of any of these projects.
Yeah.
But like, I do think that there is a serious mismanagement issue with that push, as well as which projects to prioritize and which to greenlight even. I think that's something that they have learned. I think what we've been seeing and why their release schedule has dried up is because they're course correcting, and it just games take a long time to make. I think they've probably learned a few valuable lessons over the past year. And you know, seeing something like Astrobot being like one of the winningest game of the year winners of last year, which was the game that they announced like a couple months before it released. It was a much smaller project than some of their other things. Like, I think seeing that be successful critically and commercially, and seeing some of their live service stuff not be, I hope we're in for them to be like, okay, look, we're just going to focus on what we know with these teams.
Where's The Last of Us 2 fucking multiplayer, though?
They canceled that, right?
Did they cancel it?
That got canceled like 2 years ago, yeah.
Oh, well.
Yep. No, that got canceled specifically because Naughty Dog said that they would, in order to support that game, they would have to never make a single-player game again.
It's really too bad because, like, The Last of Us multiplayer was really awesome and pretty small in scope. I get
yeah,
that.
so a simple multiplayer mode would be one thing, but it's like it's not enough for a big game to have like a little like versus mode that you play online anymore. You've got to have like 8 years worth of battle passes planned out. You know what I mean? Like,
just kill me.
I hope some other teams also look at Space Marine 2, which like that game, the package that it sells is basically like an Xbox 360 ass package.
Yeah,
there is like
it rips.
There's like an 8-hour campaign you can play in co-op if you want. There is actually a kind of live service-y co-op mode, but like it's not like the biggest time sink if you don't want it to be. You can grind it out if you want, and they do add stuff to it, but you don't have to. And there is like a little competitive multiplayer mode. Like I really just want companies to get comfortable with having a multiplayer mode versus this game has to be like have this whole network supporting it for years.
Yeah, it's brutal, and like it's a shame because I feel like the lesson is starting to finally get learned. But the problem is that means that the lessons being learned from, you can't, like, not everybody can chase the live service pot of gold, will not be seen for another 5 fucking years, right?
And a lot of teams are suffering in the meantime. And a lot of people are losing their jobs in this gold rush, which is the unfortunate part. Like, I actually do. I think in a vacuum, if canceling projects that aren't working out, I don't think is a bad thing. However, so many people suffer from that with the way the industry is right now.
Yeah.
And that's what really sucks, because I think it discourages a lot of experimentation. I think it discourages, some bold pitches. And I really would like to see, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier with like Bloober. Like, I'd like to see more teams be able to take a swing at a few things and miss a few times before they knock it out of the park.
Yeah. Yeah, and more of these devs like deserve that opportunity, right? To like make like that's, oh god, it's so funny you bring up Bloober, because like that is the path that I wish for all of these developers, right? That their right. failures and their mistakes are things that they get to learn from and move past and become the developers that they should be. And instead, because so many of them are flopping on generationally expensive live service games instead of like mid-budget single player experiences, they're not getting the opportunity to learn from failure.
I think that's also an issue with adds to like is compounded by how long games take to make these days too. I mean, that's a budget thing, but also like when you could release a game every 2 years, you got to make several games, whereas now you can pour 3 times as much of that into something that then bombs, and then the servers get shut down and it's not even playable. It's like it never existed.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to note that just because we're glad a certain game type didn't come out doesn't mean that we're also advocating for people to get laid off or people should get laid off.
Exactly.
I think it's important to point out like what people want, and people don't want another live service game, right? It's the same thing as like streaming services. Like, we don't want something else we have to pay towards to get rewards towards. Sometimes people just want to fucking play games.
Yeah.
So the fact that something got canceled that would have charged people money is good for my wallet and good for this economy, but that doesn't mean that I hope the studio fails and I hope that the people who were working on it get laid off or whatever. It just means that like I hope that they get put towards other projects that aren't that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
the reality is, like, if these came out and bombed, people would have been laid off anyway. So
which they were gonna bomb.
Being made earlier has mitigated the cost, and they can be moved on to other projects.
Right. Like, there's just been a lot of talk around the subject about like, well, people are gonna suffer, and it's that's very unfortunate, and like that's not what we want. Like, we're not advocating for people to be laid off, or we're not advocating for people that we're happy that people aren't gonna have their jobs because this game isn't coming out. We're happy because this specific game type that I think it's predatory. I think a lot of gaming now is predatory on people's wallets, and I'm glad that something got canceled that was hurt people's wallets because people love God of War, so yeah, I just wanted to kind of like put that out there. Like, we're just because we don't want this game to be released and we're kind of glad it isn't getting released and got canceled doesn't mean that like we're happy that people could lose work over it and potentially their jobs. Like, that shit sucks.
Yeah. In like a healthy and not morally bankrupt industry, like executives at Sony would recognize that it was their bad decision making and their pressure that caused these games to come into existence, and that they would own the failure. But like that's the fact that that's not probably what's going to happen is the fault of Sony executives, right?
Well, also I think the exec that was the one that greenlit most of these
he's
projects.
already gone, but
and that's the most frustrating thing about all this stuff. It reminds me of the Xbox thing, to circle back. Like, to me, like, the job of the developer is solely to make the best game that they can make.
Yes.
It's the job of the publisher to let them do that, but also make sure whatever they're greenlighting like is marketable, is in demand, right? Like they kind of own the premise. And it's their job to make sure that they're not going to let the team work on and spend 5 years on something that is destined to fail. But once they kind of give that go ahead, like that's the frustrating thing, I guess, because a lot of these like come down to the studios, and I think people aren't blaming them. But it's like, when you look at Tango and Hi-Fi Rush, they made the best game. They made a fucking phenomenal game, but apparently, yeah. So if it wasn't commercially viable, like that's not on them, right? That's on the publisher. And I'm still glad that game existed, but maybe I don't know where I'm going with this. Like, you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like,
yeah,
someone at the top needs to say, okay, this God of War live service game, like,
why are we doing
fucking,
it?
yeah, like someone smarter needs to be making these decisions, and before these devs are wasting years of time and before we're losing jobs.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever a guarantee, but I think there's a lot better decision making, like everyone said tonight, that can happen at the upper management level.
Yeah. All right, folks, we are at the end of our time. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Good, wonderful, meaty show, as John would put it. Couple of minor show notes. As a reminder, you can join the community Discord. It is a big, healthy, thriving place, heavily moderated for folks of all different kinds of backgrounds to talk.
Where we get together once a year during our holiday party.
Hey, we're talking about twice a year. We're talking about doing it for the summer.
Yeah, that's true.
I went 12 drinks deep at that holiday party, y'all. It was brutal. You
and I closed down the night.
Yeah, I know.
For sure.
You just disappeared at one point, and I was like, oh, she passed out.
Zach was like, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know, and I don't remember, and I don't want to talk about it.
you got tired after a round of Jackbox, and you went to fucking bed.
Yeah, I did. And then I woke up and I played some rifles.
Should have told me.
I think you were sleeping because I woke up.
No, because we were texting. Remember?
No, I don't remember. I was still drunk when I woke up. Like, what do you want from me?
That's true. We were both still drunk when we were texting at 2 a.m.
I was just less drunk than I was.
Yeah, same. You can support the show either by subbing to us here on Twitch or on Patreon. As a reminder, none of our content is ever money gated. However, you help us build up a little money to help us get to trade shows like PAX, replace busted equipment, subsidize costs for things like our charity event that we do once a year, things like that. So that support is greatly
just help us.
appreciated. And January 30th, our Game of the Year show. We are going to do everybody's Game of the Years. Finn put together some wonderful graphics, as he does every year. We've got our Games of the Year put together. So we're going to have a lovely show. Hopefully everyone's there. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a great time. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Remember, kindness costs nothing. Take care of each other.